Hey everyone, just wanted to check in with our quick video. Been super busy this past week. In fact, I've gotten behind on some of the comments again. I was pretty good through Thanksgiving, but I will definitely try to get back to those. But I wanted to make a quick video today, probably a little less polished than most, but I just wanted to share some information with you on Rivian and their quiet period ending. We've talked about quiet periods in the past on the channel, but I know a lot of you guys are new to the channel because of Rivian, because we have done some videos on it since the IPO. So I want to talk a little bit about how a quiet period can affect Rivian and how that might affect your trading strategy. And we'll do that as we'll consider some of the things that have happened since the IPO. So really quickly, I want to show you a few things on the screen that has impacted the price of the stock, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the quiet period and how that might affect your trading strategy. And again, then I'll give you the Rivian quiet period ending date. So hang on for that. But first, let's talk a little bit about the stock and where it's gone. So as you can see here, this is how the stock has traded since it started trading on November 10th. As you remember, it priced at $78, opened up in that low $100 range, and then we went on for a few days where it just was like the sky's the limit. And so it was looking pretty good for people that missed out. You were probably concerned that if you really wanted it. Other people were probably thrilled to death that they got in early. Then we started to see a pretty quick decline here. And there was a few things that tended to really impact the stock. So there's a couple things we want to talk about today, and I want to give you my thoughts on if they're a big deal or not a big deal. So the first thing was the news with Ford, and as you can see on the screen, the headline, Ford to Rivian, we're breaking up. And so there's a couple things. Number one, Ford has invested in Rivian for quite a while. Up until the end of October, we thought that was a 5% stake. And one of you viewers out there in the comments noted that that was actually 12%. And that is true. That actually got updated at the end of October, but I didn't put that in a follow-up video. So I always appreciate when somebody points something out and adds to the discussion. So really appreciate that. So it's 12% stake. But at the end of the day, like, I never was worried about them with Rivian actually building vehicles for Ford. We had known earlier, which I had mentioned in one of the videos, was that they had been working on a Lincoln SUV that got discontinued. Like, they basically started working on it and then the plans just changed and they dropped it. When I looked at Rivian, I did never put into my calculations, and you guys know I put out a more recent revenue projections video, didn't put in any revenue that we expected from working with Ford. So that was, to me, not a big issue. And at this point, it's not that Ford is bailing on Rivian. In fact, again, like I said, they just have 12% of the stake of the company. However, they're not looking to sell any of the shares at this point, although not that they really could because they were in the lockup period, but they actually increased their investment recently. So as far as my opinion is, this is not a huge deal. Now, you disagree with me, definitely put that in the comments, but for me it's not a big deal. So the second big piece of news that came out, again, which coincided with a lot of the stock price dropping, was that Amazon-backed EV firm Rivian delays deliveries of R1S SUVs reports. And so that came out, let's see, November 24th. And to me, this is the bigger deal because we expected, based on what was in the company's IPO or S1 filing, Rivian said that we could expect the first deliveries to happen basically by the end of the year. And now what we're seeing is that Rivian has now started sending emails to the customers to inform them that the delivery window has been changed to between May and July at the earliest. Okay, so to me this is a big deal because for two things. One, in the grand scheme of things, it's probably not huge or pushing things back. But one of the biggest concerns I had with Rivian was it's a new company and they have to execute. And they're going to have to execute quickly because there's a lot of competition coming and they just can't afford to fall behind. So by 2030, this will be a blip. However, you start to wonder, can they execute as smooth as they need to with all of this competition coming? And this has been one of my biggest concerns with Rivian. I like the look of the products. However, you're going to be competing with some products that are going to be a lot cheaper or a lot more cost effective. And so when people have more options, it's going to be potentially a problem. for the company. So I'm more concerned about that. We did talk about the revenue projections, and which I basically said by the end of 2024, what I expect for that year in 2024, 2025. So this will put a blip into that, but where it's going to hurt is on those first few earnings reports. And then we're going to be really interested to see what the guidance is. So couple things you really want to keep an eye on there when it comes to Rivian. All right, so that leads us to the main part of this video, which is the quiet period. So, and for time's sake, I just went to Investopedia just to show you this. We've actually talked about quiet periods before on the channel, so again, this is for really anybody new that's not heard me talk about them. But just to give you a really quick idea is when a company is going to do an IPO, such as Rivian did, there's a period of time where there's no information that comes out. So what I want to sort of just jump up ahead here, okay, is the time frame. So in the green part, it talks about the quiet period begins when the registration statement is made effective and lasts for 40 days after the stock starts trading and is for analysts employed by the offering managing underwriters. But then I put in here in the yellow and 25 days for analysts employed by other underwriters participating in the IPO. So for all intents and purposes, the quiet period is going to end 25 days after the stock started trading. And again, for the sake of the time for this video, and again, just the time that I have, I'm going to link a video for you in the description that talks about a little bit more about the quiet period. It's to one of the, I actually applied it to another company and just talked about it there. So definitely check that video out. But for all intents and purposes, for the quiet period is you're talking about underwriters or analysts that's involved in the IPO. So right off the bat, you feel like there's a positive news that's going to come from the companies or the analysts. But what tends to happen is based on where the stock is trading. So if the stock is trading way higher than the IPO price, when the analysts come out, there's a good chance that they could say, the stock is priced pretty high. We don't recommend it being a buy right now, whether it's a hold, a sell, whatever. But typically, the analyst reports are pretty positive. So we know that they're going to be predisposed to be positive because, again, they're participating in the company's IPO. However, it really works best when you know that the price is really close to the IPO price or even below it. If you see a quiet period end for a stock and the stock is trading well below the IPO price or right around it, you can be pretty sure that the analysts are going to come up with a buy, have a price target that's higher than where it is, and it's going to push the stock up, at least in the short term. So just for the traders out there, the short-term guys that like looking in and get out, it's something to keep an eye on. But for Rivian, you're talking about a few things going on here. The stock right now we saw was around 110 as it closed to the end of the day, Thursday, which brings us to about, what is that, 20, 30 some dollars above the IPO price. So it's above. And we know there's a lot of issues going on with this new variant that's out there. So the stock, with the pandemic, that's still being an issue. And we also know that we have some bad news that we're factoring in here. And again, we're going to get at least a delay of some revenue by these SUVs coming out later. So we're going to have to really watch more of the news, again. So how well is Rivian going to execute with getting their products to the market? And that answer is going to take a little while to unfold, but we're going to find this over time. And the question for yourself as an investor is, do you feel like it's a safe time to jump in? And do you trust that the company can execute? When you see this news so quick after the IPO that there's already a delay, it has to cause some red flags there. So something to definitely keep in mind. So getting back to my main point about where the stock is trading based on the IPO price, this is going to be a trickier one. It's not a cut and dry. Had the stock been still at that $170, I would say you're not going to get a bump from it. At this $110 range, you could. I'm still skeptical if you would. Now again, if the stock was trading a lot lower or below the IPO price, I would say good time to sort of jump in, at least get that initial bump. Again, you can't never predict anything, but you just tend to see these trends. So just for something for you to keep in mind. That's why I want to get this video out so quickly. And even though, again, it's a little quick here. But anyways, so of course, now that we talked about all this with the quiet period, the big question is, when does it exactly end? So one more time, we'll look at the screen. And I have a calendar up here, and as you can see, or if we look into November, this when the IPO happened was November 10th. So if we count our days, 7, 14, 21, and then we get to December, and we get 22, 23, 24, 25th days over the weekend. So you can pretty much expect on Monday, December the 6th, is when they're going to start seeing analyst reports. So I wanted to get this video out so that you have Friday. So if you see this tonight or during the day Friday, that if you want to act on this, you can. Again, I'm not telling you whether you should buy stock or sell stock, or I'm not telling you anything like that. It's just understanding that the quiet period is ending, and it is one of those times where you can consider, looking at what the price is and consider, do you think the stock could get a bounce from it or not? So anyways, that's what this video was really for, just to give you a quick idea on the quiet period, some of the most recent news, and why the stock might be where it is, and hopefully it gives you some idea of what you want to do with it. So with that being said, I hope you like this video. So again, please push the like button. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We'd love to have you on board. We talk a lot about IPOs, but we have a lot of other things coming. So this is not going to be a 100% Rivian channel like some other people might do. It's just that there's been a lot going on early, so I wanted to cover all that. And we'll talk about more about Rivian as major things come up. But we'll also have some other things. So I like to do some general investing types of strategies and whatnot. And I actually have more of a general type of video planned sooner than later. So definitely put that notification bell on so you know when it comes, as soon as it comes out. And then as I always like to just share with you, anybody that's new, I have a second channel. It's called How To with Kevin, which I'll link for you in the description. It just shows you some other things that I've done. And we've only done a few videos so far, but it's gone pretty well and I enjoy it. It's just non-financial type of things, and we all deal with new things and try to figure it out. Well, that's something I love to do, whether it's building something, whether it's maintaining something, whether it's fixing something, whether it's learning finance. But I try to keep the financial part onto this channel, which is sort of the main channel. But if you are interested, definitely check out my other channel, How To with Kevin. I'd love to have you there. Anyways, have a great rest of the week. Great weekend. I will be talking to you guys sooner than later. Again, been super busy, so if you have any comments for me in the other videos, I'll be getting to them hopefully in the next couple of days. But it's that time of year. Things get crazy, right? So anyways, I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Take care.